There's a new rush item that pros have started running on their supports, and it's the recently buffed Warmogs. While this new Bruiser Briar build with a Black Cleaver Rush is extremely powerful. And remember, if you're struggling to climb in League, SkillCapped is the only place that guarantees you'll climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. Otherwise, you can claim a full refund. We do this because our service really works, and this is the best time of the season to get in on SkillCapped, as we've just released tons of site-exclusive courses designed for you to power learn the most important concepts for climbing in League of Legends stupidly fast, compared to those who don't use SkillCapped. Join today for unlimited access to the world's most famously effective League of Legends guides, and remember, one subscription gives you access to all of our other games as well. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to stop wasting time being hard stuck and get the rank you actually want. And with that said, let's get into it. Starting off with a couple top lane builds, there's a new Illaoi setup that has been popping up as of recent, and it provides a ton of early game snowball strength. The key item in the build is Voltaic Cyclo Sword, as you'll be rushing it. Now, why does Voltaic work so well with Illaoi? Well, Illaoi has really great synergy with the passive on Voltaic. The passive is an energized effect, and you can stack this energized proc faster whenever you use a dash. When you've got level 6 and you're skirmishing with Illaoi's ultimate, her W cooldown drops super low and allows you to constantly proc the Voltaic passive throughout an extended fight. Now, whenever you proc the Voltaic passive, you not only deal bonus damage, but you also slow the enemy. This slow is incredibly valuable for Illaoi because it helps to guarantee that her tentacles will smash down and hit the target. After building Voltaic Cyclo Sword, you transition into Bruiser items with Sundered Sky 2nd and Steric's Gauge 3rd. The rune page is Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, followed by Presence of Mind and Last Stand for secondaries. This new Singed build is turning him into an absolute menace in the side lane, as Warmogs has become an optimal second purchase for the champ. Warmogs is arguably the most underrated item in the entire game right now as a result of its buffs from 14.10. Riot just flat out gave the item 300 more health, so they ended up tacking on 800 gold worth of stats for free. Warmogs just works incredibly well with Singed because it allows him to play this extremely annoying style in the side lane. You just walk up to waves without really worrying about taking damage, and then once you've got the wave cleared out, you dip into the Fog of War, heal all the way up to full health with Warmog's passive, to then rinse and repeat. Enemies will never be able to push you out of the side lane, so you'll be a constant threat in the mid game that someone will always have to deal with. For the complete core build, it's Liandry's Rush into Warmog's 2nd and Rylai's 3rd. Pick up Conqueror for the Keystone Rune with Triumph, Haste, and Last Stand, followed by Nimbus Cloak and Celerity. There's a brand new Briar build that has been seeing a ton of success in solo queue as of recent, and it does not involve Eclipse. Instead of rushing Eclipse, it's Black Cleaver that you'll be building. Cleaver was just recently buffed in 14.10 with its armor shred being increased, and Briar has very easy time stacking up the armor shred very quickly to get max value out of it. Second item in the build path is Blade of the Ruined King, and then you round out the core with Sundered Sky. Both items provide Briar with a bunch of added sustain, which makes her skirmish strength incredibly powerful. The sticking power is also super nice, as you get the slow from Blade of the Ruined King to make it very difficult for enemies to get away from you. Keystone rune that you should be running with the build is Press the Attack, followed by Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Grab Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. A jungler that you really need to start running Warmogs on is Skarner. A lot of high elo Skarner players have started rushing Warmogs and are winning at incredibly high rates with it. The item is absolutely perfect for the champion because it now provides 1000 health, which synergizes amazing with all the health scaling in Skarner's kit. Every single one of Skarner's basic abilities has some sort of health scaling, so with Warmogs going from 700 health up to 1000, the item is so much better for him. Warmogs in general is just so great for solo queue because it allows you to stay on the map longer and be a consistent impact due to its passive healing. Warmogs Rush with Sunfire Aegis 2nd and Kanik Rookern 3rd is a really strong core build you can try. Grasp is outperforming Aftershock as Skarner jungle's best keystone rune right now. The runes to follow are Shield Bash, Conditioning, and Overgrowth, while Free Boots and Approach Velocity are for secondaries. Vlad is buffed for 14.12, and there's also a new build that has been giving him a ton of added strength. Rabadon's has always been a very strong 3rd or 4th pickup on Vlad, but what many high elo Vlad players are doing right now is they're actually rushing the item. Rabadon's Rush is outperforming everything else, but it's still not being played as much as Riftmaker. You just get such a massive one item spike with Rabadon's because of the huge influx of AP, and also due to the fact Vlad's AP gets converted into health. So not only do you deal a load of damage, but you're also pretty durable, and this just leads to an extremely powerful skirmish. Level 9 to where Vlad has his Q fully maxed out and his Rabadon's completed can absolutely take over fights. After building Rabadon's, you go into Storm Surge 2nd, and then Crypt Bloom rounds out the core. Airy is the keystone rune with Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence, and Scorch, while Haste and Last Stand are for secondaries. A lot of pros have been liking a new build on their mid lane Tristana in solo queue, and it does not involve building Kraken Slayer. Many are dropping Kraken and siding with Blade of the Ruined King instead. The Blade Rush works really nicely on Trist mid in specific because you're often able to play her in a much more aggressive fashion than bot lane. With the sustain from Blade, you're able to heal up nicely after taking making trades, while the passive slow is great to help you stick to your target and get a fully stacked E off. The second item in the build path is Navori Flicker Blades, as this is a very standard second pickup regardless of what item you're rushing on Trist. To round out the core, it's Infinity Edge to provide a massive influx of DPS power. The rune page revolves around Fleet Footwork with Absorb Life, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Best secondaries are Demolish and Bone Plating. There's a new build and rune setup that many pros have been liking on their Zeri. Static Shiv has made its way back on a few ADCs after its recent buffs, and one champ who's a lot stronger because of it is Zeri. Now, it's not just the Shiv rush that's working really well though, as Phantom Dancer is heavily undervalued as a second purchase. By rushing Shiv, you already have solid wave clear power from its passive, so instead of going into Hurricane second, you can opt for Phantom Dancer so that your DPS is higher. You also get the flat 12% movement speed from Phantom Dancer, which feels really nice on a shorter ranged ADC like Zeri to help her kite around in fights. To round out the core build and for the ultimate power spike, you grab Infinity Edge third. The rune page is the really interesting part of the setup though, with many pros going Inspiration for secondaries. They're taking the new rune Jack of all trades, which you can get really good value out of once you complete your boots and grab a dagger. To get added value out of Jack of all trades, you need to have 5 unique stats from the items that you have purchased. Doran's Blade provides 3 unique stats, Boots has 1, and Dagger has 1, so that gets you to 5. At 5 unique stats, you get 10 AD from Jack of all trades very early on in the game, which basically means you're getting a longsword for free. Another ADC that a lot of pros have gone back to rushing static Shiv on is Kai'Sa. A lot of Korean ADCs in specific are liking the Shiv rush again, as it's coming off those massive buffs from 14.11. A couple of the draws to Shiv over Kraken is the fact that the item costs 300 gold less, and of course, you get the wave clear passive. The straight up burst strength of Shiv will be stronger than Kraken as well, since you need to get 3 autos off with Kraken in order to proc its passive. Especially in games where you are into a comp that has more squishy champions, to where you won't need to be autoing a bunch to kill them, Shiv works great. If you're against a more tanky comp though, to where you'll need to be autoing a ton in fights in order to shred your targets, the value from Kraken passive is really good. Second item in the build path will be Rage Blade, and then it's Gnasher's Tooth as the third purchase. As for the rune page, you should be taking Press the Attack with Absorb Life, Alacrity, and Cut Down, while Free Boots and Biscuits are for secondaries. A brand new build that has started making its way onto support champions consists of rushing Warmogs, and Leona is one of the best users. We haven't seen this strategy really emerge a ton across the general player base yet, as it's mainly pro supports in solo queue that have been running it. The whole idea behind rushing Warmogs and Leona is that you can remain extremely active on the map. As a support in solo queue, not having to reset after you drop low from a skirmish feels really great, as you can rotate around the map and get complete control. A super underrated part of Warmogs, and another reason to why it's so great on supports, is that you gain 10% bonus movement speed if you haven't taken damage within the last 6 seconds. Combine this with the 5% movement speed that the item provides, and you're zooming around the map. You're going to be grabbing Swiftness Boots as well, so you're just able to stack a ton of movement speed, which is such a valuable stat for solo queue. After rushing the Warmogs, you can go into Locket second, while Celestial Opposition is your support item upgrade. Aftershock is the Keystone rune with Font of Life, Second Wind, and Unflinching. Best secondaries include Triumph and Haste. A second melee support that you should be rushing Warmogs on is Rel. Rel is another support who loves all aspects of Warmogs, as the durability, sustain, and movement speed are perfect stats. With all the movement speed, being able to motor around the map on that Warmog's completion is amazing to keep up tempo and get vision down prior to objective spawning. The shield that Rel gets from her W actually scales off 12% of her max health, so it's an added reason to why the item succeeds so much on her. It's the exact same core build as what we featured for Leona, with the Warmog's rush into Locket second, and then Celestial Opposition as the item upgrade. For the rune page, look to pick up Aftershock with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Hex Flash and Cosmic Insight are the optimal secondaries. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone, a complete look at 10 of the most OP builds that you can try out in patch 14.12. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.